I've just published 2 books of poems. One's called Poems, and it collects poems from the last 10 years. And the other's called January 2008, and it contains 135 poems that I wrote shortly after my friend Landis Everson killed himself. I'll read tonight two new poems and 1 poem from Poems. I, by the way, have copies of this if anybody wants to get a hold of it.
Buy Ben's book.
Yeah.
I'm broke. If anybody can afford to buy one, I could use the money. The war veteran sitting by the pool has mastered the experimental school. Negotiating his experiments, has learned to make a world of difference. Experimentalism hits the target. Doing away with honor and intent, knowledge itself does nothing but invent new ways of screwing up the global market. I only scream to see what I will say. Beethoven only was expressing silence. There is no need for visiting the islands since you arrived here day before yesterday. The mooning debutante in isolation is the implicit spirit of creation. The atomic and the atomizing, reducing and seducing and surmising, may manifest the truly surprising, worn like a flower in their button vest. Suppose the violence of the personal scars disrupts the circle of the formal discourse. The protozoic eye swings from the stars, by which the anarchic imagination steers. From A to F by way of Z and B, excluding E, sails straight across the sea. All of our experience repeats in what the Grand Inquisitor deletes. The panting conversion, images in clutters, the total curtains climaxing of tatters. The repertoire is formal and concise, whatever pirates anywhere devise. The truth may often be revealed by lies. It is by intuition we revise. By knowing, we experimentalize. Avian Gorian. What does this mean? DC3 divisible by 3. A bilingual entelechy. When it was raining, a man stopped into the store, emerging from the street as the street must have been to him, entering the store. He asked for a book that didn't exist, but were his questions answers that didn't exist but for me? The rain grew darker and the quiet louder, separate from what we were here for, veering into ideas of evenings just around the corner, like streaks of newsprint honoring the living, promising a glitter of excited chatter and the audible crackle of a firm reply, in a dry room where fresh gaze amplifies the removal of a jacket to an unlooking chair, where a cloud shifts in the glint of an eye, glowing and growing on embroidery flowering, sinking into a gutter of loneliness, where everything that happens is obscured, where darkness and silence become comforting because familiar, locking the library while other people rush to see it play. Cocktails and cigarettes, warmer, more rapidly, affirm the towering city, and yet, apart from it, I saw you were in need of identifying in thin layers, in circles turning, what you were, as if some smile were rained on high above the revelers distracted from their hearing, looked on and looking on in the frank moment of your naked gaze, as if you put it in a question to me that I, hesitating not to answer, revealed like thunder and rained on eyes, a sudden meaning of the printed flower. And what of Avian, Gorian, a bilingual entelechy? What do the letters dispense with? Do they recall forms or patterns of a habit, knowing for an unknown name? I put it to you. Do these missions exceed their tolerance for identity ungroping to be blind, reaching like a bomb or gun into the alert heart? Most of history is lost. These stories, rain like chatter, point away from jade and onyx halls the mind caresses, caught like a mirror in its desperation. Fantastic corridors, 8 arms of Buddha retain the silence of a sentence on. Corridors that lead to many rooms where nothing is known, or what is known, enacted before, conspires discreetly to initiate salvation and evil, heaping plunder of trade, glittering treasures so fabulous it cannot be measured except in legend. Removed rooms, if they exist. Where yet upon the eve of some great journey, travelers share a meal and conversation, only dimly aware of being watched, of activities their splendid host conceals, unthreatening, unknowable, the unknowing that pleasure itself delights in, tasting rare delicacies of an exotic host. Behind the surface, what was never asked, something to lose in pondering over sleep, with the next day looking like lace over high-cut glass in the image of a man inside a man, impossible doubt left hanging or erased. And what of Avion, Gorian? Is there somewhere another architect, painter, proficient in the classical arts, to be forgotten as if the age uproots its mirror image, recalls strict languages of the hour after dinner, the unknowable brother? The dents insert a slight influence on schemes of color, on whole forms of classical music, kept in the silence of a marble sculpture, opened only in the thin hours before others wake, agreed upon as if an entertainment could allay the feelings of what each keeps in a back drawer with scissors and paste and tape. This is not that other, finding himself seized in the midst of a dying city where all voices blur bright in blindness, the brush-stroked paint of an absolute color in a small town's wake, a clown seized in madness, admitting and exonerating nothing. Avian, Gorian. Say it again, but do not understand the imprint of its meaning. Cease to leave its foul importance settling in a corner in obscurity. There is no need to understand or visit what has been left behind, what cannot name itself, for fear of belying its greater importance, stumbled on, perhaps, in the rain. Epilogue. It is youth that understands old age, and your repulsion is but a projection, an image of the loathing you obtain. I've seen the fall come in and think I shall follow each leaf that winds about the house to where you stutter, the end of the tether, where grace walks through the bridal foliage and no one could mistake you for another. After that, they are only leaves to burn. And when the flowers burst upon the rain, the roofs shall keep their solemn, gentle witness, far from the young men who travel far to fill their noses with the autumn air. Daybreak is decent as awakening, and love is gentle, though he is no scholar. What if I filled my notebook with his words, sketched suddenly with no least hesitation? Would she return to him when it came fall, or would she sink into a bitter winter, not even counting the blossoms that are gone? How many times the autumn rain recurs to wind about the river in the evening, or fall like one great ocean in the dawn. No matter, he has had enough of her, and leaves his youth in hope of something better. A drop expresses all the flooding water, the wind instills the trees with sentiment, and no one can reverse the patter of the darkness that's enclosed within. It stares across the city in the dawn and cannot wake these shrouds of memory.